flourished at its sharp teeth. Villagers became afraid to leave the city walls. Francis took pity on the people and decided to go out and meet the wolf. He was desperately warned by the people, but he insisted that his God would take care of him. A brave friar and several peasants accompanied Francis outside the city gates. But soon the peasants lost heart and said they would go no further. Francis and his companion began to walk on. Suddenly, the wolf, jaws agape, charged out of the woods at the couple. Francis made the sign of the cross towards it, and the power of his God caused the wolf to slow down and to close its mouth. Then Francis called out to the creature, "Come to me, brother wolf. In the name of Christ, I order you not to hurt anyone." At that moment, the wolf lowered its head and lay down at St. Francis's feet, meek as a lamb. St. Francis explained to the wolf that he had been terrorizing the people, killing not only animals, but humans who were made in the image of God. "Brother wolf," said Francis, "I want to make peace between you and the people of Gubbio. They will harm you no more, and you must no longer harm them. All past crimes are to be forgiven." The wolf showed its assent by moving its body and nodding its head. And then, to the absolute surprise of the gathering crowd, Francis asked the wolf to make a pledge. And as St. Francis extended his hand to receive the pledge, the wolf extended its front paw and placed it in the saint's hand. Then Francis commanded the wolf to follow him into the town to make a peace pact with the townspeople. The wolf meekly followed St. Francis. By the time they got to the town square, everyone was there to witness the miracle. With the wolf at his side, Francis gave the town a sermon on the wondrous and fearful love of their God, calling them to repent from all their sins. Then he offered the townspeople peace on behalf of the wolf. The townspeople promised in a loud voice to feed the wolf. Then Francis asked the wolf if he would live in peace under those terms, and the wolf bowed its head and twisted its body in a way that convinced everyone he had accepted the pact. From that day on, the people kept the pact they had made. The wolf lived for 2 years among the townspeople, going from door to door for food. It hurt no one, and no one hurt it. Even the dogs did not bark at it. When the wolf finally died of old age, the people of Gubbio were sad. The wolf's peaceful ways had been a living reminder to them of the wonders, patience, virtues, and holiness of St. Francis. It had been a living symbol of the power and providence of their God. That ends our story.
Our earth is strong. It can hold our pain and our joy, our love and our anger. Our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows each week, is strong enough to hold the big rocks, our collective celebrations and mournings, and also the smaller stones that will be added to signify our individual joys and sorrows. Let us remember those desert people who came first in this place. We honor the A'atam, the Yavapai, the Yaqui, the Hohokam, and the other peoples who no longer exist as tribal entities here in Arizona. We who live in the desert know that there is no life without water. Let's remember those who are walking through our desert right now without sufficient water. We pour water from a plastic jug, similar to the ones used by those seeking to provide greater access to water in the desert, like our ministry partner, No More Deaths. If you have a joy or sorrow to share aloud, I invite you to go to menti.com and put in the code 29801296. There. Yeah. If you are here in person, I invite you to come to the table and create ripples of hope by putting a stone into the water to symbolize your joy or sorrow. We ask you to form a line down the middle aisle and then return to your seat on the outside aisles. Now we can read the words are meant to. I have recently lost my cat, T'Challa. He has been missing for 6 days now, and I am extremely heartbroken and full of grief. Joy for the birth of baby Eloise to parents Teresa and Eve in the wee hours of the morning. My sorrow is that I am missing my mother Dorothy, who left this earthly plane on January 9th of this year. Memorial service today for my dear friend Marilyn Clevinger, contradancer and potter, passed away at 70. Rudolph Performing Arts Building, 250 South Alvernon Way at 12:30 p.m. from Michael Cease. My team won a silver medal at Special Olympics. We played bocce. Feeling fortunate and tired, grateful to be here this morning. Remembering my beautiful niece who left this earth 1 year ago. My sorrow is that I am missing my, oh, I did that already? Yes? Yes, thank you. Thank you. We have a prayer this morning. Our words for meditation, contemplation this morning come from John O'Donohue's book, To Bless the Space Between Us. This is called To Learn from Animal Blessing. Nearer to the earth's heart, deeper within its silence, animals know this world in a way we never will. We who are ever distanced and distracted by the parade of bright windows thought opens, their seamless presence is not fractured thus. Stranded between time gone and time emerging, we manage seldom to be where we are, whereas they are always looking out from the here and the now. May we learn to return and rest in the beauty of animal being. Learn to lean low and leave our locked minds, and with freed senses feel the earth breathing with us. May we enter into lightness of spirit and frequently slip into the feel of the wild. Let the clear silence of our animal being cleanse our hearts of corrosive words. May we learn to walk upon the earth with all their confidence and clear-eyed stillness, so that our minds might be baptized in the name of the wind and the light and the rain.
Please respond in song, The Lone Wild Bird.
The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. If you are joining us on live stream, you can send a check to the office, give online at uuctucson.org/donate, or text 833-361-5796. If you are here in person, the ushers will come around now with the offering baskets to collect your donations.
Amen to the choir. Thank you. Okay, before I do my sermon, I'm going to have you take your phones out if you have a phone. We are going to turn them off. There is an emergency, tested the emergency alert system you've been hearing about on the news. That'll happen right at the end of my sermon, and it's going to really surprise all of us. So if you could just, if you're able to, if you don't have an emergency call or you're not waiting for something, go ahead and turn your phone off. Someone's might still go off, and that will be brilliant, and the choir could harmonize with it, and Danielle could make a little riff on it. It could be fun, but it would be fun if it wasn't blaring in all of our ears. Perfect. Thank you to the neighbors who are helping their neighbors turn off their phones. It's what community does for each other. It is always in the eyes for me. I started riding horses at the age of 10. And when I was 13, I had progressed to the point where my riding that my parents had started searching for a horse to buy so I could ride more often. After a few options had fallen through, a family friend told us about some horses for sale at his barn. So I took the day off school, and my dad and I drove across the state to see these two horses. One was short and very quick and very well suited to me. I'm also short, you'll see, and with horses, it's the size, you like the size to be comparable. The other horse was tall and lanky and awkward and had a really big rib cage. He was young and definitely too novice, too green for me. I greeted both in the barn, and while I thought that the shorter horse was very sweet, and they were right, he was just perfect for me, Autumn, that taller, awkward horse, and I were bonded from the moment we looked in each other's eyes. He came home with us the next week. The beginning of our relationship was not all good. I had 2 really bad falls in the first 6 months. Both were mostly the fault of our combined greenness of skills. Autumn got hurt that first year too, so I actually didn't ride him that much. Our relationship grew from the ground where we were eye to eye. We found a new trainer, a new barn, and our relationship, both under saddle and on the ground, blossomed from there. A number of years later, we were in a workshop with this big shot European trainer who'd been flown in to teach people at our barn. He watched me and Autumn ride together for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then he called us over to where he was sitting. And he said, "You know, when you came out of the barn together, I thought to myself, this is a terrible pair. He said to me, he's too long and awkward conformation, and you're way too short for him. I never thought this would work. But you proved me wrong," he said. "You two were made for each other." It was also in the eyes with one of my cats, Shakes. My mom and I were visiting an animal shelter when I was on a summer break from college. Our house was without an animal, a pet, for the first time in my life, and she knew that wouldn't be good for my mental health. So we peeked in a few kennels and said hi to a few very, very cute kitties. And then we both spotted this skinny, long-haired, black and white tuxedo cat in a large kennel at the end of the hallway. He was sitting so politely, like he was waiting for a treat. We both drew closer and crouched down, and when our eyes met, that was it. He was already ours, and really he was mine. Soon after our eyes met, Shakes energetically purred as if to say, "Hi, my person." And then he stumbled, and I mean stumbled, towards me in a not very feline way, hence the name Shakes. This is still how Shakes greets me many mornings, many days. But he doesn't greet every person this way. My husband and I lived together for 11 whole years, have lived together for 11 years, and only in the past couple years has Shakes willingly accepted my husband's affection. The toddler? Shakes might never warm to him. But the toddler is better than anyone who enters our house with loud boots and deep voices like the cable guy or the plumber or the handyman. Oof, Shakes will never warm to them. Thinking about the animals I've had in my life, and these two in particular, neither my Autumn or my Shakes are all that different from the wolf in the St. Francis story. They, the horse, the cat, the wolf, all just want to be treated as beloved by another being. And isn't that what we want too as humans? To be really seen and held and treated as beloved. Pets who we bring into our homes give us the opportunity to practice being beloved and treating others as beloved. Mary Oliver has a whole book of dog poems. Maybe some of you have it on your bookshelf. Here's one. She wrote, "He puts his cheek against mine and makes small, expressive sounds. And when I'm awake, or awake enough, he turns upside down, his 4 paws up in the air, and his eyes dark and fervent. 'Tell me you love me,' he says. 'Tell me again.' Could there be a sweeter arrangement? Over and over, he gets to ask it, and I get to tell." Animals, both wild and domestic, remind us of what we need. They remind us that we are not so different from them. We all have animal nature in us, after all. Spoken word poet Rudy Francisco wrote about encountering animal nature in his own life. This is important for you to understand as you hear this poem, that Rudy Francisco is a middle-aged Black man who lives in the United States. He writes, "She asked me to kill the spider. Instead, I get the most peaceful weapon I can find. I take a cup and a napkin. I catch the spider, put it outside, and allow it to walk away." He continues, "If I am ever caught in the wrong place, at the wrong time, just being alive and not bothering anybody, I hope I am greeted with the same kind of mercy." No matter our species or race or any part of our identity, we all just want to live. We all just want to be safe on this earth, our home. Animals, not having the degree of consciousness that we humans have, although some have some consciousness, right, appear to have it easier in some ways. I'm often jealous of them. They are attuned with the natural world around them. But they remind us that we have the capacity for that same attunement. The poet Randall Berry has recognized this capacity. He wrote this poem. I think some of you have heard it. "When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free." Animals remind us that we too can come into attunement, alignment with the harmonies and rhythms of nature. We can pull back that veil of our humanness and just sink into our place in the sanctuary of creation. And when there, we can open ourselves to awe. Denise Levertov wrote a poem about that sinking into creation, that finding awe, and the first line is an invitation. "Come into animal presence," she writes. "No man is so guileless as the serpent. The lonely white rabbit on the roof is a star, twitching its ears at the rain. The llama, intricately folding its hind legs to be seated, not disdains but mildly disregards human approval. What joy when the insouciant armadillo glances at us and does not quicken his trotting across the track into the palm brush. What is this joy that no animal falters but knows what it must do, that the snake has no blemish, that the rabbit inspects the surroundings in white star silence. The llama rests in dignity, the armadillo has some intention to pursue in the palm forest. She continues, those who were sacred have remained so. Holiness does not dissolve. It is a presence of bronze. Only the sight that saw it faltered and turned from it. An old joy returns in holy presence. Old joy. I love that phrase that Denise Levertov used, that reminder of our own animal nature. What can we offer the animals, those who are wild and those who are domesticated, in exchange for this old joy? There will soon be, 3 options for you to take from our altar table. Each is a blessing for you to take with you from this worship service and offer in grateful exchange for that old joy of animal presence. You might take a vial of water, bring the water home to put in your own hands and bless the animal who shares its home with you. Or maybe you could combine this blessed water with more water and put it out for a wild animal whose journey might cross your garden. Or you might prefer to take a vial of seed, bird seed, home to scatter across a place where a bird or other small animal might be fed by it. Or, recognizing that some of us are the ones who need the blessings ourselves, if you are missing a beloved pet today or other animal who is no longer alive, you might take a stone, one that you can hold in your hand and feel the weight of, to hold that physical memory of the one you called beloved. Before I invite you to come up and take what you need, I want to emphasize that giving a blessing might not be something you've done before, and it might be something you are not sure you're comfortable with yet. So before you come up and take what you need, I want to offer you one more story, this one from Marilynne Robinson's novel, Gilead. The novel takes the form of a letter that a dying Congregationalist minister, Reverend John Ames, writes to his 7-year-old son. Reflecting on his own childhood, the fictional character, Reverend John Ames, writes this. We were very pious children from pious households in a fairly pious town, and this affected our behavior considerably. Once, we baptized a litter of cats. They were dusty little barn cats, just steady on their legs, the kind of wayfish creatures that live their anonymous lives, keeping the mice down and have no interest in humans at all, except to avoid them. But all animals seem to start out sociable, so we were always pleased to find new kittens prowling out whatever cranny their mother had tried to hide them in, as ready to play as we were. It occurred to one of the girls to swaddle them up in a doll's dress. There was only one dress, which was just as well since the cats could hardly tolerate a moment in it, and would have been unswaddled as soon as they were christened in any case. I myself moistened their brows, repeating the full Trinitarian formula. Their grim, old, crooked-tailed mother found us baptizing away by the creek and began carrying her babies off by the napes of their necks. We lost track of which one was which, but we were fairly sure that some of the creatures had been borne away still in the darkness of paganism, and that worried us a great deal. I still remember how those warm little brows felt under the palm of my hand. Everyone had petted a cat, but to touch one like that, with the pure intention of blessing, is a very different thing. It stays in the mind. For years, we would wonder what, from a cosmic viewpoint, we had done to them. It still seems to me to be a real question. There is a reality in blessing. It doesn't enhance sacredness, but it acknowledges it, and there is a power in that. I have felt it pass through me, so to speak. The sensation is really of knowing a creature. I mean, really feeling its mysterious life and your own mysterious life all at the same time. I don't wish to be urging the ministry on you, but there are some advantages to it that you might not know to take account of if I did not point them out. Not that you have to be a minister to confer blessing. You are simply much more likely to find yourself in that position. It's a thing people expect of you. I don't know why there is so little about this aspect of the calling in the literature. I'm with Reverend John Ames. each of us is capable of conferring a blessing. Water is a blessing. Food is a blessing. Remembering with intention is a blessing. And all of our hands are capable instruments. So as we carry these drops of water and these seeds out into the world, may they confer upon the beings they come into contact with and the beings they nourish the blessing of life and belovedness. May all beings know their inherent worthiness. And as we carry these rocks with us into our daily lives, may they confer upon us the blessing of belovedness, which persists beyond life. We are worthy of loving and being loved. Now I will put the things that you could take up on the altar table, and Daniela is going to play some music as you come up and take what you need. Left, so if you took only half of what you need, and you might need a little bit more, you could take another vial home or a stone. We're going to have an energy shift and sing a more upbeat song together. It's a fun one.
Some of you may know the song All God's Critters Got a Place in the Choir. This is also the tryout for the choir, so if you will, as you are willing and able, stand and sing, and as you catch the song, join in. All God's critters got a place in the choir. Some sing low and some sing higher. Some sing out loud on the telephone wire. And some just clap their hands or paws or anything they got. Listen to the bass, it's the one on the bottom where the bullfrog croaks and the hippopotamus moans and he groans with the big to-do and the old cow just goes moo. With the dogs and the cats, they take out the middle where the honeybee hums and the crickets fiddle. The donkey brays and the donkey bells and the old coyote howls. All God's critters got a place in the choir. Some sing low and some sing higher. Some sing out loud on the telephone wire. And some just clap their hands or paws or anything they got now. Listen to the top where the little bird sings and the melody with the high voice ringing. Hoot owl hollers over everything and the jaybird disagrees. Singing in the nighttime, singing in the day. The little duck quacks and he's on his way. The possum don't have much to say. The porcupine talks to herself. All God's critters got a place in the choir. Some sing low and some sing high. Some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or applause or anything they got now. Everybody here is a part of the plan. We all get to play in great critter band. With the eagle in the sky and the whale in the sea. It's one great symphony. All God's critters got a place in the choir. Some sing low and some sing high. Some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands applause or anything they got now. All God's critters got a place in the choir. Some sing low and some sing high. Some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands applause or anything they got now.
The closing words for our service were written by the Reverend Thomas Rhodes and adapted by the Reverend Elizabeth Mount. I will read a verse, and then you have a response. Your response is, "Thank you for the gifts you share." Can we try that together? Thank you for the gifts you share. Okay, you're going to have to do it more than once, just so you'll know. You birds of the air, hawk, sparrow, and laughing jay, you embody freedom itself. Delight us with your song, astound us with your feats of migration, grant us your perspective. For too often our horizon is limited and we are blinded to the full results of our actions. Thank you for the gifts you share. You, worms of the earth, ants, beetles, spiders, and centipedes. You are this essential but oft-forgotten strand in nature's web. Through you, the cycle is complete. Through you, new life arises from old. Remind us of our humility. For the wheel of life does not turn around us. We are not the axle, but merely spokes. No less than unseen, unknown, and shunned companions, such as yourselves. Thank you for the gifts you share. You, creatures of the field and wood and marsh and desert, bear and bison, skunk and squirrel, weasel and wolf. Too often we have sacrificed your homes in the name of progress. Clear-cutting the forest to fill our desire, or covering the earth with tarmac, cement, and suburban lawns. Pray that we may remember that the earth was not given for our needs alone, and what we do to you, we eventually do to ourselves.
Thank you for the gifts you share.
You, animals of the farm, horse and cow, pig and fowl, willingly or not, you give your very lives for us. We milk your milk for our nourishment, your flesh for our sustenance. Yet too often we forget that the meat on our tables was once as alive as we are. Forgive our willful ignorance and remind us constantly to give thanks for your sacrifice.
Thank you for the gifts you share.
You, dearest companions in our lives, dogs and cats, hamsters and goldfish, you who we share our homes with, and you who always be present in our memories. You have enriched our lives in so many ways, endured our shortcomings with calm acceptance, taught us something of our humanity, taught us how to love. May we hold you in our hearts throughout the days of our lives.
Thank you for the gifts you share.